It's pretty great, man. That's where my cereal stems from. So my mom would, and that's where I have a breakfast joint, right? So she would
Okay.
always make us like when we woke up, she was always big on breakfast. So I remember having to call her and be like, "Yo, okay, I eat breakfast. Okay, now get ready for school." You know what I mean? I'm like, "Oh my God!" But I think of those times, and breakfast was one of those things where on the weekends it was super, super special. And I remember that. You got to remember, she died when I was a freshman. Do you know what I mean? So I remember a lot of the years before where it was like at the time I didn't appreciate it or didn't understand it, but like the weekend breakfast, man, it was like next level. You know what I mean? Like no matter
Yeah.
what we were doing, we had to be there. You know what I mean? Like when it
Yeah.
was dinner time or breakfast time, we had to be there. And it was literally, we didn't go, we weren't like, we did the golden rule, but we never went to church.
Yeah.
And that was like our time to, I think say our blessings, in a way that she did it. And it was pretty cool, man.
What were some of her specialties? Like what were some of the things that you remember? I remember you said biscuits and gravy. That's
SOS, shit on the shingle.
shit on a shingle. What? So I've heard that, and I think you've explained it to me, but it might have been after a few beers. I don't remember. What is shit on a shingle?
Dude, I got to make it for you. There's no recipe. Like there's technique. And
Okay.
and a lot of stuff that I do now is like she didn't have recipes. I've got an old cookbook from like my grandma, but it was it's like you would imagine like in the Midwest, those casseroles, those one pot wonders.
Oh yeah,
Dude, the shit on the shingle. And again, as a a kid thinking I was funny, and with a speech impediment, I could get by with saying like almost like cuss words, but blame it on the you know what I mean. So I'd be like, because I could hear the adults say it. And they would make us say SOS, and I would be like, ship on the shingle, but I'd be like, ship on the shingle, you know what I mean? I was like, so I learned real fast on how to use impediment to say cuss words.
Leverage it, man. Leverage it. Yes. Yeah. So what is it? Like I know there's no recipe, but what is the essence of shit on a shingle?
It used to be chipped beef. So we would do ground pork or beef, whatever we had. You put that in a hot, and it was always cast iron with a can. You remember the old coffee cans of like the fat, all the, you know what I mean? Like all the fat was left, the lard and all the reserve
of the chipped beef,
of just fat in general, from like cooking with lard and cooking with like just removing all the fat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So we start a pan, and that's how she would make the biscuits. Biscuits would be in a cast iron, baked off. That would be sitting. Brush with whatever. I doubt it was real butter, but whatever it was kind of butter.
It played the role very well, probably.
But you start off, you render that fat of the beef or the pork, and man, you render it. You pull that. You keep that fat, and you do like a roux, which is best way of describing it is you put any kind of starch in the fat, and you cook it to a blonde state, and it basically becomes and looks like wet sand. Is a great way of introducing anyone to a blonde roux, and that's your thickener for any kind of like cheese sauce or like a gravy. Do you know what I mean? Like SOS. Yeah. So she would remove she didn't, but I learned to. She would keep everything in it, put the flour in, which is sometimes why you'd be chewing and all that flour didn't get cooked out. Like, you know what I mean?
You cough and like white.
Right. And then you just season it, man. Like you just season it. It's salt heavy, whatever seasonings you have, and you cook it all down. You put the milk in, and you cook it to a boil. Then you simmer it and let it just thicken up. And we would do either white bread or the biscuits, and you pour it on. It looked messy. You know what I mean? It was so comforting. You had home fries with it. You had like bacon or something with it. And it was just, dude. And then it was the WWF, Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like that was our weekend routine.
Yeah. It was like Saturday mornings, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't there Saturday morning wrestling? Like there was the cartoons, and then dude, I feel like we're very lucky, and maybe it just comes with age where the older you get, the more dead set on that your generation's the best, right?
Yeah, right. Right.
Think about it. I mean, the golden age of wrestling, like, we got to see Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, and even the later years, like, for you and I, like high school, college age with The Rock and Stone Cold, but then also with sports, like the Jordan era. And man, I don't know. It's pretty cool.
somebody told me it's another like, and Peter, you see me hang out with Peter. He's like one of my best homies, like 78 or something like that. He's a retired professor of ASU. And man, he talks about the different generations, and his generations is pretty phenomenal. Hearing him talk about stories, and I don't think they necessarily had wrestling. You know what I mean? Like
no. Oh, they had like the dude that ate the turnbuckle. What was that guy's? George Animal Steel kind of.
Right. Yeah. But he talked about like the grit and it being less about the money and that marketing and the advertising, and it was more or less like that was what they did for a living.
Yeah.
Artists too, athletes the same, and then it became more of a luxury entertainment, like agents and managers, and then it just became like he said, like you don't want to risk losing your whatever millions of dollars, and because you got a little swollen toe, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is why during that generation and even his, I think we have seen with media and with the attention that these guys get, actors too. I think we see less, and he's all about film. Do you know what I mean?
Okay,
like one of his books is about Roy Orbison. Like he's writing, and he's got a bunch of stuff published. Here's one of them right here. It's the Roy Orbison, the invention of an alternative rock masculinity. Like Roy Orbison kind of went against the grain. He sang like a woman. He looked feminine.
Yeah.
But he was like one of the baddest ass rock and roll people ever. And Peter wrote several books about him. And I went to London to watch the hologram concert of Roy Orbison.
Wow.
And that's when I got to see how cool Peter was. I was like, dude, I didn't know you were this cool. People were coming up with the book, having him sign it. I'm like, usually that's me taking pictures and stuff. I'm like, but damn, Peter, like, get it. I'm like, you want me to take your picture for you, Peter? Like,
yeah.
Hey, can you take a picture? I'm like, whoa. But he talked about it. He's like, man, it's like people don't want to risk losing all of that. And back, in our time, and I think this is where a part of my work ethic is too. It's like, man, like, you know what? I'm gonna just go to bat. I'll stand on that plate. If I got to get hit to get on a base, sure. Sure, whatever. Book it.
Little did you know how much that coach really knew. Like, hey, dude, all these other kids are wussies. Kraus can take a hit. Kraus, you're in there again. On it, coach. No, the other way, Kraus. Like, you can't see.
Right. Steal. Like, dude, I go right from first to third. I'm like, wait, what? Like, I just see the shortest distance, man. You want me to round that shit?
Here's what we got to do. I picture a skit. You playing baseball, and your coach saying, okay, when he throws the next pitch, I want you to steal. And then you jump over the fence, and you run into the cornfield, and you steal some corn, right?
And then let's have a corn bake-off. Like, let's just then have a feast. You know what I mean?
I'm writing that one down too, man. The list is growing. These ideas.